Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Rich and Raw. Get ready to be Esthersized. If you love these mindset shifts, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's dive in.
Hey, Megan.
Hey, good morning.
Welcome to chapter 5, right? Ready to
Here
go?
we go. Chapter 5, Increasing Life.
It's a short one.
You must get rid of the last vestige of the old idea that there is a deity whose will it is that you should be poor or whose purposes may be served by keeping you in poverty.
Oh my gosh. Say that again, because I was thinking about this morning. Is it okay, really, for me to abandon that I'm not rich, right?
You can be responsible for your life and what you want with it and still be poor.
Yes.
You must get rid of the last vestige of the old idea that there is a deity whose will it is that you should be poor or whose purposes may be served by keeping you in poverty.
Do you feel that way? It's like somebody sanctioned it upon my life timeline that it's just not possible. It's never going to work. I'm not going to have financial security. I've tried a million times. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way.
Well, it's this part about will, like I think when I try this on, that there's a comfort and a reassurance that like, well, there's a greater purpose, there's a greater good. I will become a better person. I'll have better character. I'll just be a better person
Yeah.
with the way things are. And I think the fallacy in that is it leads us down the path of not pushing through that.
Or not
Right?
even recognizing I'm causing it to be the way it is by the way I think.
They're not exerting your will to overcome.
Right.
Which is part of what we were endowed with by our Creator.
Yeah.
The capacity for a will to exert and choose. The intelligent substance which is all and in all and which lives in all and lives in you is a consciously living substance. Being a consciously living substance, it must have the nature and inherent desire of every living intelligence for increase of life. Every living thing must continually seek for the enlargement of its life, because life, in the mere act of living, must increase itself.
In other words, you can't just be neutral. You can't just hang out. You're either retreating or you're expanding. There's no stagnant, right?
And if you want to be in the nature flow, just look at the nature. Like everything's reproducing and multiplying. Go forth
Right.
and multiply, right?
Right.
A seed dropped into the ground springs into activity and, in the act of living, produces 100 more seeds. Life, by living, multiplies itself. It is forever becoming more. It must do so if it continues to be at all.
So even if you don't feel like you're growing, you are. Even the state of experiencing and judging yourself of not growing is actually a growth stage.
By nature of being in this physical body, either your physical body's growing, if your physical body's not growing, your mental acuity, your wisdom, your capacity to just deal with the way life is or not, right? All the insight.
Yeah. Yeah. That's encouraging.
Intelligence is under this same necessity for continuous increase. Every thought we think makes it necessary for us to think another thought. Consciousness is continually expanding. Every fact we learn leads us to the learning of another fact. Knowledge is continually increasing. Every talent we cultivate brings to the mind the desire to cultivate another talent. We are subject to the urge of life seeking expression, whichever drives us on to know more, to do more, and to be more. In order to know more, do more, and be more, we must have more. We must have things to use, for we learn, do, and become only by using things. Whew, that one's big, right? Because it's this whole minimalist, like the less you lose, have a small impact, don't consume.
Especially as you get older, I think there's a assumption, especially for women, that as you age, you're just supposed to fade into the
The
background.
tapestry. You're supposed to become part of the tapestry.
Yeah, and it's not even like you shouldn't like expand yourself out or get out there. Not true at all. Read it again, please.
In order to know more, do more, and be more, we must have more. We must have things to use, for we learn, do, and become only by using things. We must get rich so that we can live more.
Mhm.
I'll
Mhm.
back up.
Mhm.
Every talent we cultivate brings to the mind the desire to cultivate another talent. We are subject to the urge of life seeking expression, which ever drives us on to know more, to do more, and to be more. I have to get oven pancake out of the oven. Hold on.
Okay, I'll talk about that for a second. Um, I have always felt the way you just described, and I can remember, like, hear it clearly as a child. Be happy with what you have. No matter what you got with candy, you always wanted more on Halloween, right? And for Christmas, right? How ungrateful. So I think there is a confusion between the natural will of a human to continue to expand and grow and want is like a good thing, instead of that you should be happy with what you have, survive with what you have, which actually restricts the very thing that you need in order to increase your perception of abundance. Like if I think I shouldn't have more and that the sin is me wanting more, that's a problem. But the problem really isn't in wanting, I think. It's in thinking I'm not complete if I don't have it.
That's the thing, right? Because if I'm trying to get more in the external, because I never feel satisfied and I never feel complete,
Right.
doesn't matter what it is, it's never going to
Yeah,
fill my gap inside. And I think the whole message he's trying to get is you got to start with the thought and the belief that you
right.
have capacity and you have abundance. And
And
then you can select, and you can actually be even more mindful of what you're using then, because you're not using everything because you're afraid you're never going to get what you actually want.
yeah. And if you actually are in the belief that you're always going to get more, you're going to be way more uh, giving and way more gracious and
And you're not going to just take it and hoard it and sit on it because you're afraid there's never going to be enough for you later,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is the currency bit too, right? Like you're not going to earn all this money and just stick it in a vault to know that you're going to be okay. You're going to be in the abundance of it. And
right.
whatever that calling is for you is going to help you express and invest and grow whatever the thing is that you feel called to grow.
Yep. That's
It's,
so much a part of my generation too. It's like as soon as you get to a certain age, you're supposed to hoard so you have what you need to live on later. It's almost as if the whole retirement concept and all the aspects of aging is something you're supposed to retreat, collect, keep, hoard, right? I mean, that alone would make you age faster.
well, if you're in if your mindset is my body's getting older and weaker and I'm not going to be able to perform, I'm not going to be able to produce in
Right.
10 years the way I can do even now. I already feel that everything's slowing down and that I don't have enough and who's going to take care of me and what's going to happen if something goes wrong, and right, like
Right.
that's all
Right.
coming from a place of there's not enough. I'm not enough.
Yep.
The world doesn't have enough for me.
Right. Yep.
The desire for riches is simply the capacity for larger life seeking fulfillment. Every desire is the effort of an unexpressed possibility to come into action. It is power seeking to manifest, which causes desire. That which makes you want more money is the same as that which makes the plant grow. It is life seeking fuller expression.
I like
The
that.
one living substance must be subject to this inherent law of all life. It is permeated with the desire to live more, which is why it is under the necessity of creating things.
Let me say that again.
The one living substance must be subject to this inherent law of all life. It is permeated with the desire to live more, which is why it is under the necessity of creating things.
What a reframe.
The one substance desires to live more in you. Hence, it wants you to have all the things you can use.
And if you look at sovereign teaching, Megan, that's exactly what Elizabeth was talking about on Monday. Source wants to expand through us. And through that expansion, substance takes form. That's the way I
Yep, yep,
read it.
yep. And that would be the spirit in the world.
Mhm. So what do
It
we
is
sorry,
well,
what are we saying
well,
to
it's just
the spirit, right?
Yeah.
We're basically saying no to spirit then,
Yeah.
if we make
Yeah.
it bad to want and to desire and to expand and to grow.
And if we're the portal for that abundance, if we lock it down, then we're in a world with not enough.
Yeah, we're choking it out, basically.
It is the desire of God that you should get rich. That's interesting. You went to that there. He wants you to get rich because he can express himself better through you if you have plenty of things to use in giving him expression. He can live more in you if you have unlimited command of the means of life.
I love them.
So it's source,
Yeah.
substance, form, right?
Source, substance, form. Yeah. And my need for predictability and the assumption that I should already know how all that's going to happen is just another story to justify the lack thought or the control thought of it. Does that make sense?
Well, even to have an idea of what the story is, that's already a lack because you don't have a concept of, it could be 25 different versions of opportunity and potential. I just need to know the one. Just give me one.
Right. Yep. And Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, all of that comes from the same assumption that in every moment you are changing the reality. The future thing and the past thing is just our brain trying to feel safe.
The matrix and chaos theory, right? Like one little flutter can change the whole matrix.
Yeah. It's coming in.
The universe desires you to have everything you want to have. Nature is friendly to your plans. Everything is naturally for you. Make up your mind that this is true. It is essential, however, that your purpose should harmonize with the purpose that is in all. It is essential, however, that your purpose should harmonize with the purpose that is in all. I love that. I got a thread this morning about how public education is super important because everybody has to be able to negotiate and engage with each other for the greater good. And my argument is that the greater good for a human being is by definition the greater good for society. No individual should ever have to co-op and sacrifice something that's not true for them for the sake of the greater good.
Yeah.
They should never have to sacrifice your own value for this greater good. That's not healthy.
Assuming your value is for the greater good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's like ultimate value, right? Like just
Right.
because I have an obsession over I want it to be a certain way and I think that's my best good, that might not be my best good.
Mhm.
So there's this idea that your purpose should harmonize with the purpose that is in all.
Yeah. And if that's true, why would that be restricted? It wouldn't be.
Right.
Selffulness instead of selflessness.
Yeah. You must want real life, not mere pleasure of sensual gratification. Life is the performance of function, and the individual really lives only when he performs every function, physical, mental, and spiritual, of which he is capable without excess in any. It's hard to have these conversations with people, right? Because if everybody's coming from a place of scarcity, then to even like start to broach this conversation is just, you can't get anywhere with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life is the performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, they filter it out, right?
Uh-huh.
You must want real life, not mere pleasure of sensual gratification. Life is the performance of function, and the individual really lives only when he performs every function, physical, mental, and spiritual, of which he is capable without excess in any.
That excess in any, I don't really get, but I keep going back to how we outgrow certain things. Like if feeling great drunk all the time was the highest feeling, no one would ever stop drinking. And almost everybody that I know that is waning away from alcohol, it's because they have a desire for a higher feeling, like a higher frequency, right? And in ESP, when we studied all the different emotional, remember lust and passion, those were lower vibe energies, which I was like, really? You know,
even passion? What?
right? So I think if we're expanding and we're okay with the more in that realm, you automatically will not desire, besides the facts of how you feel in your body afterwards. I mean, our bodies aren't even designed to pollute them all the time.
You let go of the fixation on the things that are inherently damaging.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah. Which is proof what he's saying is true, but he's making the point that it's the higher energy that we long for, and we shouldn't not want that.
And if you don't have any experience of what that higher level is, that's my frustration over the whole drug alcohol world, right? Like if you don't have an experience of something better to live for, you're going to go for something that you feel like lights you up and makes you alive and fires off all those neurons.
Right. Right. And honestly, I think most of it has, for me anyways, is always, it's just a distraction. Like
Yeah.
the discomfort of actually connecting with yourself into the vulnerable state of, I don't even know who I am, which is what you feel when you are on the verge of expansion, right? In order to grow something, you have to get to where it actually is. And if I connect with me and I'm like, whoa, who am I? Let's go get a drink. You know what I mean? Or if you're with a person that you feel uncomfortable with and you're trying to connect with them or explore who they are, oh, this is really uncomfortable. I think I will have a glass of wine. You know what I mean? There's a feeling that I have experienced, and even consciously, I can't take this. I'm going to take a drink because it just numbs out just enough the intensity of that energy.
The interference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of, Scott told me this one, like ambition stealer. Yes, it's helping me cope with whatever, but my ambition for expanding and doing the inner work that it takes to even kind of know what my purpose is and expand kind of becomes squelched, because now I'm recovering from this great, but not that great feeling that I had at the party last night. The next day, you know what I mean? Almost like you have to reconnect. And at some point you get to the point, and I know a lot of people are there because alcohol sales has plummeted lately. I mean, you can get really good wine for $5 or $3.99. It's crazy. I don't know if it's just Florida or other, some states. I know a lot of people doing gummies and stuff, but still, there's like a point at which connecting with yourself and expanding your own energy, when you become more comfortable with it, feels better than any of those distractions.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to watch movies to just unwind, to just enter another world, and it's crazy. Like now, I can't. It's really hard for a movie to even keep my attention. I don't know if it's the quality of movies or the storyline, but like,
Yeah.
I used just feel like be absorbed in it, and I could check out from all the chaos going on and just come out of it in a better, peaceful zone. And now I don't. There's just nothing in there for me,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
You do not want to get rich in order to live swinishly for the gratification of animal desires. That is not life.
Yeah.
But the performance of every physical function is a part of life, and no one lives completely who denies the impulses of the body, a normal and healthful expression. So it's all good.
Yeah.
Just don't overdo it.
Not
Right?
bad. We're not saying pleasure's bad, everybody.
Right?
Yeah. Wow.
This is good. You do not want to get rich solely to enjoy mental pleasures, to get knowledge, to gratify ambition, to outshine others, to be famous. All these are legitimate parts of life, but the man who lives for the pleasures of the intellect alone will only have a partial life, and he will never be satisfied with his lot. You do not want to get rich solely for the good of others, to lose yourself for the salvation of mankind, to experience the joys of philanthropy and sacrifice. The joys of the soul are only a part of life, and they are no better or not nobler than any other part.
That blows my mind. That blows my mind. Because I'm trying to remember what book I read. Oprah had a special on with Eckhart Tolle, right? And he's like supposedly egoless, which is impossible if you're in a body. I think you cannot entertain your ego, but like literally, I'm sorry, I can't remember where I read it, but it totally made sense. We're here to have a human experience, and having an ego is part of that. I mean, why else would I even do this? Because I have an ego. And ego's gotten such a bad rap. But it's kind of like
It's a
if I,
tool.
yeah, it's a tool. It's a tool
Mhm.
for me to figure out what I want to do with my human existence.
Mhm.
To get totally lost in it, right? Is
Mhm.
no better or worse than getting totally lost in like I have no ego, which is kind of egoic itself
Well, it's like throwing out the rudder on the ship. You have a ship, you're supposed to be navigating it. If you're just
somewhere.
throwing it out and going with the winds, you're literally just going to get buffeted and you're no
Yeah.
entity anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I think it was Next Level Soul. It was um Alex Ferrari. He was talking about that with one of his guests. Highly
Mm.
recommend him, by the way. Any of his shows. Keep going. We're almost done.
You want to get rich in order that you may eat, drink, and be merry when it is time to do these things, in order that you may surround yourself with beautiful things, see distant lands, feed your mind, and develop your intellect, in order that you may love men and do kind things, and be able to play a good part in helping the world to find truth. But
I
remember,
checked out, Megan. Did you check out? I totally checked out just now.
I love that part. You want to get rich in order that you may eat, drink, and be merry when it is time to do these things, in
Okay.
order that you may surround yourself with beautiful things, see distant lands, feed your mind, and develop your intellect, in order that you may love men and do kind things, and be able to play a good part in helping the world to find truth. But remember that extreme altruism is no better and no nobler than extreme selfishness. Both are mistakes. So you got to navigate down the middle. You got to find your channel.
He's so good.
Storms on one side, wind on the other. You got to find your way and persist.
And that fits with Keith Raniere's whole theory on structure and chaos, right? It's too much chaos, nothing gets accomplished. Everything's a big shit show. Too much structure, control,
Nothing
control,
breathes.
control. You can't breathe. No company will grow. Everything will be all about the government taking over, which, by the way, is what's going on. Way
Just
too much.
stagnate.
Yep. So
Yep.
it's balancing in between. So if your life is really messy, just go back to a little structure. If you got way too much predictability and structure, quit your job. Go for a little chaos.
That's so cool because I was in an agriculture class last night. We're reading agriculture lectures by Rudolf Steiner, who does biodynamic farming, which is very big in the wine world.
Wow.
And the whole idea is that you're supposed to move into the natural seasons and embrace the ecology of it in your
Yeah.
growing.
Yeah.
And there's a calendar that has come out that talks about the moon cycles, right? Like if it rains a lot before the full moon, do you plant or do you not plant? Right?
Okay.
It's all of these different cues to just learn the ecology. And this farmer who's been a farmer, I think he's from Germany, for decades, he's talking about how like it's taken back in the day, people just knew this. They just had all these wise sayings and proverbs to know when to plant things,
Mhm.
but that now we don't have that kind of knowledge. And he says people will become just as rigid with following the moon cycles as they would anything else. You don't have any freedom in that. The
Right.
whole goal is to learn it so you have freedom to decide
Wow.
based on what's happening around you in response to it. There is no static plan that if you follow these rules A to B, that's going to get you what you want. That's not the point and has never been the point. Blows my mind, right? Because we're all about how do you systematize? I have to systematize to scale up.
Yeah.
And there's a value in that, but
Right.
there's also no
Right.
innovation if you're
Right.
just trying to streamline it all.
Man, we love rules, don't we?
Yeah. Well, I don't, it's about efficiency. I need to be efficient. I don't want to squander.
Do a rule.
But again, right? So I don't want to squander my
Yeah.
resources. I have a limited amount of time. It's limit, limit,
Yeah.
limit.
Lack. Not true. Interesting though, huh?
Right?
You went around planting, right? Well, you see, like the Sitka rose bush is only supposed to bloom in the spring. Apparently not. I saw blooms in September once.
Yep.
Sitka rose bush. What up with that
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Alaska, right?
Yep. 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 September, I think when I was there, I
Yeah.
still was seeing blooms.
Yeah.
It's like there's seasons it goes through its next round of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I named Rose Rose. Isn't that amazing? Because I saw the bush and I thought, what? Okay. We're good?
Get rid of the idea that God wants you to sacrifice yourself for others and that you can secure his favor by doing so.
Oh my God.
God requires nothing of the kind. What he wants is that you should make the most of yourself and for others, and you can help others more by making the most of yourself than in any other way.
That should be a chapter all on itself.
But we're only halfway through this one.
Kidding? I thought it was only like 3 pages.
Well, this is like that was 2 pages.
Should we
2 pages. All right, we're
do another
2/3 of the way
episode?
through.
Should we do
It's
another
what?
episode? Should we finish it or should we do another episode?
Whichever.
Read the last statement one more time.
What he wants is that you should make the most of yourself and for others. And you can help others more by making the most of yourself than in any other way.
Yeah, that's it. Let's end with that. That's awesome. Okay, we have a right to cry. See you later.